Hey, my friend, Kirby here of KirbyAndersen.com. If you find yourself getting overcommitted and overextended on a regular basis, then man, have I got some good news for you today. Because I want to take just a few moments and talk to you about how you can learn to say no without offending and without feeling guilty about it. You know, most of us are busy a lot of the time, and that's okay as long as we're busy doing the things that we want to be doing. But generally when we say, man, I'm just so busy, we are complaining about the busyness that's keeping us from all the things that we would rather be doing, and we're feeling out of control. We don't like it. We're saying I'm busy doing other things that other people, other circumstances are demanding that I do. And that's not a good thing. But the good news here is that we have a lot more control than what it may seem. Now, the other side of that is if that's true, that means that the bad news is that we are often our biggest problem. And the reason why we are so often overcommitted and overextended is simply because we have not learned how to say no and how to say it often enough. And man, I get that. I have done my share of overcommitting. And for me, I know the biggest reason is because I just like people. And I like to help people. And I'm sure that's the case with you as well. I used to struggle so much by getting all of these invitations and requests because I just didn't want to run the risk of needlessly offending somebody or sending the wrong message. And that may sound very admirable, but I got to tell you, you can't satisfy every request. You can't please everybody. You can't seize every opportunity. And we need to come to grips with that. Life is choices, and that means that we have to get better at saying no once in a while. And to say no doesn't mean that you have to be rude or come across as ungrateful, or certainly you don't have to feel guilty about it. And I want to share with you just a few things that have really helped me to be able to say no and to say it more often and easily. The first thing here is just you have to have a clear sense of your main priorities first, and you have to have them in writing down on your calendar someplace, whether that's on paper or it's a digital calendar. It's kind of like living on a cash basis. I'm a Dave Ramsey guy, and if you're like that too, you know that for a lot of your discretionary money, you find that it's best to keep it in a budget envelope. It's hard to overdraw an envelope. And so whenever you have a chance or an opportunity to spend something, you have to go see how much is left, what's available in the budget envelope. Now, a budget is simply a way for you to tell your money where it's going to go in advance. And it's the exact same thing with your time. You're going to have to build your priorities into your weekly schedule. Designate specific times for those things that matter the most. And then that's going to become the framework for your decision making whenever people come to you with a request like, hey, would you like to get together and do this? Or how about we go over here? Would you like to join us? Every other request or opportunity now is going to have to fit in amidst all of those other priorities that you have already predetermined and put into your schedule. And if it doesn't fit in, man, you're just going to have to be able to say no. And that's okay. And you might feel that that's okay, but you're still saying in your mind right now, yeah, but how do I say that? And to say it in such a way without feeling weird about it. Well, that brings us to one of my favorite phrases, and it's this: I would love to, but. Now, once you have created this schedule, this master schedule, or just your weekly schedule for any upcoming week, and you have put in all of your biggest priorities, I want to tell you something. You have given yourself the greatest gift, and this is the most important thing in being able to say no without offending other people or without feeling guilty about it. Now, when you have these choices, you simply have to refer to a potential conflict in your schedule. Now, I'm not even just talking about the appointments that I may have with other people or my work. I even block out time for things like reading or planning, things that are important to me. So in essence, I'm making appointments with myself. And that is just as legitimate as anybody else, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. So now if somebody says, hey man, would you like to get together and do this tonight? You need to say, man, I'd love to, but I already have an appointment then. And you probably do. I hope you do. You don't want to lie. You just simply say no. And you don't have to tell them what it is. It might be a family time with your family. It might be special time with one of your kids. It might be a date night. And it might be a weekly planning session that you have scheduled for yourself. Doesn't make any difference. No guilt, no offense, and you don't owe anybody any explanation beyond just simply, man, I got a conflict. I've already got something scheduled at that time. Now, but what about those times that you really would like to accept another person's invitation to do something? You just can't do it at that time. Well, that comes to another very simple little statement similar to the other one, and that is, I can't now, but I could. And then you suggest another time when you think that you'd be able to do that. And I think that this is really important for you parents. Because if you're like me, you probably hate to say no to your kids, especially when they're coming and saying, hey dad, hey mom, could you play with me right now? I never like to say no to one of my kids without being able to tell them when I could. So now if they were to come and to say, hey dad, would you be able to play right now? And man, I'm up to here in a project and I really got to get this done. I just simply just say, oh son, I'm sorry. I would love to do that right now, but I just can't. But I'll be able to in 15 minutes as soon as I get done. How would that be? Well, you know the answer. They're going to be elated with that. And you can do the same thing with your friends. They say, hey, we're going to get together tonight for dinner. Would you like to do that? Man, I would love to have done that, but I can't. But I tell you what, I would be able to hang out with you guys on Thursday evening. Would that work? Now, it may not always work out, but at least that you were saying you would like to and giving another alternative. And oftentimes that will work out just as well. So those are a couple of phrases there that will help you with the majority of those situations where you're getting these opportunities to go do something, either don't want to or you can't, and you'd like to do it and you can do it another time. That'll fix most of it. But here's another situation that a lot of people have a lot of problems with, and that is telling your boss no. And man, I get that. Nobody likes to do that. But there are times, however, when your boss is going to ask you to do something that means that you're not going to be able to do what you were doing at that time, and it may have legitimate consequences that he's not aware of. So the solution is very simple. All you have to do is just clarify. You don't have to just be put in that box of, and struggling on the inside like, what am I going to do now? I'm going to be here till 8 o'clock. You just simply just say, man, I'd be happy to do that for you right now, but I need to let you know that if I was going to finish the project that I was working on right now in the time frame that we had talked about, I'm not going to be able to do that if I do this now. What would you like me to do? That's new information. He's probably forgotten about those things. But now what you've done is you've expressed your willingness. Say, hey man, I'm willing to do whatever you'd like me to, but I got to be honest with you, here's a conflict. And it's going to affect some other things. He understands that. She understands that. Now they can consider that and give you their input. So the bottom line of all of this is that saying no doesn't have to be as tough as what we have made it out to be within our minds. We just need to be honest. Just simply try and find that win-win solution that allows you to be able to stay on target with the priorities that you have already set. You can't do everything, and people will understand that. It just takes a little bit of courtesy and a little clarification that can go a long way. But I got to tell you again, this all starts by putting activities that really matter on your schedule in advance, and then use that to be the heavy. That becomes, again, this framework for all of your decision making. So if you haven't already done so, man, do yourself a favor. Plan out the rest of your week right now and as far as you can, so that when those situations come up, you are able to make a decision of, should I do that then, or do I need to stay on target with what I said that I really needed to do at that time? People are important, and we want to do all those things that will help them and satisfy them. But you don't want to do it at the expense of the priorities of your family or even of the priorities of yourself. You don't have to feel guilty about that. I hope that empowers you a bit for this upcoming week. And if you did and you like to receive other videos like this whenever they come out, all you have to do is go to KirbyAndersen.com, sign up for my email newsletter, or subscribe on my YouTube channel, and we'll make sure that you don't miss out on any upcoming video. Again, thanks for joining me today, and until next time, I want you to live better, love more, leave the legacy that you really desire. Have an awesome day, and stay on target this week.